Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Brothers and sisters, I will now present to you the general authorities, area 70s, and general officers of the church for your sustaining vote. It is proposed that we sustain Russell Marion Nelson as prophet, seer, and revelator, and president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Travis Wayne Goodsell. Looks like I got a little rooster this morning. Still no change with the lawsuit. It still shows the November 4th brief that I put up, but it shows that they put it up on the 20th. Friday, 11/20 at 10:20 a.m. Whole 16 days after I filed it. And now they're just, Tina Campbell is just taking her time in the processing of it. One of the abusive tendencies of my mother, who as a devoted Mormon and white supremacist, is that she often forgot the causal conditions of things. Case in point, when the LDS Church had me arrested in 2008, my parents they gave witness statements as part of the discovery to justify locking me up. And in my mom's witness statement, she tried to claim that I was mentally ill by saying that I was not the same ever since the divorce. The divorce, as she called it, was caused by her, in part. She helped facilitate the woman formerly called my first wife to leave me and take all the property. She's the one who said children belong with their mother, and threw the family proclamation in my face. I can only assume that she meant by throwing the family proclamation in my face is that I was too poor to deserve a family, and that I was therefore wicked, because there was nothing else in the family proclamation that I could figure out that I was doing wrong. But being poor is not a sin or a crime, except in the Mormon Church, despite the Book of Mormon and the many examples of them trying to explain that prosperity does not mean that being poor is a sin. This neglect of the cause is a church characteristic as well, as the church also is trying to erase the history that implicates them. The main one being translator. The presidents of the church are supposed to be translators. But we'll first go to the official statement regarding the church's position on translator for the president of the church. In Translation and Historicity of the Book of Abraham. This is the church's official position, even though it was John Gee who wrote it anonymously. Let's see if I've got it up on the screen here after checking on the lawsuit. Yep, here we go. Joseph Smith claimed no expertise in any language. He acknowledged that he was one of the weak things of the world, called to speak words sent from heaven. Let's see. I think he comes out and says it. Lord did not require Joseph Smith to have a knowledge of Egyptian. By the gift and power of God, Joseph received knowledge about life and the teachings of Abraham. See, what they're not telling us is that he's not a translator. I'm looking to see. I think that was it, but I'm just checking. Okay, after, let's see, translation. Joseph worked on the translation. Yeah, they're calling it inspired translations. But they're trying to, he first tried to distance it and call it something else as revelation. But, okay, some of the translations, like the Book of Mormon, utilized ancient documents in his possession. Oh, John, so naive. Other times, his translations were not based on any known physical records. That's not... No. Joseph's translation of portions of the Bible, for example, included restoration of original text, harmonization of contradictions within the Bible itself, and inspired commentary. John, you shouldn't be talking about things you don't know. You need to come out and say, I don't know. I'm in the field of Egyptology, and I don't know. Let's see, the relationship, neither of these rules. See, because he's not coming right out and saying Joseph is not a translator, but he's wording this in such a manner that that he can justify Joseph not being a translator. Publish the facsimiles. None of the characters on the papyrus fragments mentioned Abraham's name. or any of the events recorded in the book of Abraham. See, this is why he wants to do it this way. Is because he can't find the Hebrew word Abraham on an Egyptian record. Did you catch this? None of the characters on the papyrus fragments, it was papyri fragments, there were 2. Did you know that? 2. The 2, I will show thee. Where are you? So here's the Book of Abraham papyrus. This is from Rittner's book that he published. And here's the other papyrus. Papyrus is singular, papyri is plural. John Gee knows this, yet John Gee purposely neglects to mention the book of Joseph. Now that should have significance to Mormons because of Ezekiel 37. But if you ignore and erase the book of Joseph's existence, then lots of things can be manipulated and created out of nothing. Let's see, there's not your enemy, scientists, opponents, long after he lived. Oh, yeah, we need to keep that up there on the screen, so we need to scroll down. The record of Abraham could have been, remember that video? Could have, maybe, let's speculate. This is the church's official position, as they are in the position of translator, being among the greatest of gifts of God. And they're saying, could be. It could be edited or redacted by later writers, such as the Book of Mormon, prophet, historian, Mormon. They're fake characters, coded. Illustrations once connected with Abraham could have either drifted or been dislodged from their original context. Could have. The opposite could also be true. Illustrations with no clear connection to Abraham anciently could, by revelation, shed light. There it is. There it is. By revelation. Prophet, seer, revelator, and translator. Revelator and translator are two separate things. He understands Joseph Smith said translator. Yet, he's trying to twist this to erase translator and call it revelation. Right there. Right there. You bastard. All the could be's to the conclusion of revelator as to why he's not a translator. What a dumbass. Alright. I won't keep looking and wasting video time on that. So, again, let's bring up the scriptures. Just computer program. Prophet, seer, revelator. There's 5, but when I add translator, all of a sudden there are 2. Doctrine and Covenants, section 107, verse 92. Starting in verse 91, though. And again, the duty of the president of the office of the high priesthood is to preside over the whole church and to be like unto Moses. You know, the whole coronavirus of Egypt thing. And what did Moses do during the coronavirus? See, again, the church is erasing history. They don't mention, they don't bring up, hey, we have a scriptural example of what I am to do to save Mormons during this coronavirus. And he could have talked all about Moses and the Exodus and then there was this thing called creeping death, which Metallica calls it. But nope, he's not mentioning anything regarding the Exodus in regards to the coronavirus. And he is not following the example of Moses either. He is erasing the Bible from Mormons' minds by purposely talking about other things, like his video on Friday. He mentioned the scriptures on how Jesus said we should be grateful to try to justify living under a coronavirus that he himself, not following Moses, therefore he helped to cause. This is part of the erasing of history. Erasing from the minds of Mormons by diverting them away from the main issue, just like my mother did, by saying, he changed ever since the divorce. No, Mom, the cause was you. You helped her. You justified it by telling me that children belong with their mother. You threw the family proclamation in my face. Didn't explain what I did wrong with it, but I can only assume it has to do with not being rich. I had just barely graduated. I got a job instantly. It was paying minimum wage, but I was working overtime because the Christmas holiday was coming up and they needed people to be working overtime for the many orders that were coming in with the church. It was the church working at the distribution center warehouse, 17th and 17th. And so the insurance company that I was forced to get was among the best because it provided for a family. However, you had to pay a huge chunk from your salary to cover the insurance. And on minimum wage, paying a lot extra for insurance kind of hurts. But nonetheless, it was Christmas time and we were in overtime conditions. And then the wife left in April as overtime conditions cut back. And in May, after she had left, I was offered a raise, a $6 more raise an hour. And these were full-time jobs. These weren't just part-time like McDonald's gets away with to get tax breaks from the government. And so you'd think that a Mormon mom would think that I'm doing a good thing, that I have to start from the beginning, that I can't start off, my dad, yeah. My dad came right from Berkeley into the Ford Motor Company, in their accounting firm. He did it, why can't I? Well, one, I didn't go into business and accounting, finance. So anyway, behold, here is wisdom, yea, to be a seer, a revelator, and a prophet. See, Travis, there's no translator. It doesn't exist, even though there it is, a translator and a prophet, having all the gifts of God which he bestows upon the head of the church. And then section 124 and 125. I give unto you my servant Joseph to be a presiding elder over all my church, to be a translator, a revelator, a seer, and a prophet. See, Joseph doesn't beat around the bush. Beating around the bush. There's the theme song. Bush. I don't know if I'm going to put it in the title, though. We'll see. But it's right there. Yet I read to you from translation and historicity of the Book of Abraham, written by John Gee, specifically to excuse Joseph Smith as not being a translator. And then, as I put in the, I hope I put in the video, they leave out translator for President Nelson. They've left it out for all of the prophets. Never have they mentioned that the prophet of the church, the president of the church, in a solemn assembly or any of the subsequent loyalty oaths that we Mormons give, which they distract us by calling a sustaining vote. This is a loyalty oath. Let's not confuse things here. They're trying to erase our memory of the scripture from section 107, verse 22. Because there is no sustaining vote in section 107, verse 22. But this is where they're getting it from. Of the Melchizedek priesthood, 3 presiding high priests, chosen by the body. There's the vote. I've never voted. I'm of the Melchizedek priesthood. I never voted for the counselors even. Did you know that we're supposed to vote for counselors, not just the president? Yeah, Brigham wanted nothing to do with that. He had to have his counselors. And he had to be the president, of course. And so that's why that's changed. Appointed and ordained to that office. And, here's the sustaining, and upheld by the confidence, faith, and prayer of the church. Not the Melchizedek priesthood, they vote. The church sustains the vote. That's the difference. And they form a quorum of the presidency of the church. It's never been done in the church. Instead, they call it a sustaining vote. It's nowhere in Scripture. But that's how Joseph said it was to be done. Nobody's done it. There is no true church. There is no true succession. Do you know what that means, Mormons? They're erasing our memories. They're erasing history. They're trying to claim that the current church is authorized to make changes, but you have to do what's ordered from the beginning first. Joseph Smith is the one who could have changed it. He never changed it. That's how he's set up for succession. Nobody followed it. Brigham Young certainly didn't follow it. It's not the president of the quorum of the 12, which Brigham Young, it was different. He was the president of the missionary 12. There was also the High Council 12 of the church. They were the administrative body. Brigham was missionary work. He, as a missionary, was involved with preaching the gospel. And yet he claimed the keys of the kingdom, which I read to you previously is the office of Moses, the president of the church. He did not have the keys of the president of the church. He was not the president of the church. How could he have those keys if he's not in that position? Again, he exalted himself, as Joseph Smith called him in revelations that are not canonized by Brigham Young. Find him in the Joseph Smith papers, though. So, yeah, this erasing of history is the thing that the church does not want you to know. That's why they are protecting themselves with judges in the federal court. Because here I am, I'm just a guy suing the church for what they did to me in 2008. And it was dismissed to protect the church. And so here I am again saying, oh, yeah, you can't do that. It's against the law for a federal judge to dismiss my case before I even presented the evidence. But that's what the church does. They throw out the motion to dismiss right from the bat, which is the extortion threat to all the judges. Get him out. We don't want them. I went over Gaddy versus the church yesterday with Kay Birmingham. They're going to have oral arguments on the 10th of December to discuss the motion to dismiss that the church pulled on them too. The church pulls it on everybody. They need to be stopped. This is abuse of the courts. People need to be able to present their case. Then, if they fail to present the evidence, then they can throw out their motion to dismiss for a lack of a claim leading to relief or whatever it's called. And so that's this case. And I threw in, and they're using a viral weapon to tamper with the case and to assassinate the plaintiff, which is a little tougher because it's real. Not like the church's erasing of history for other things. But with the first case dismissed, they've erased that I've ever been arrested. It never existed. They were involved in that case and they got it dismissed. So officially, according to court documents, I was never arrested. I was never locked up for 6 years of my life. I'm not really here. I don't really exist. This is the danger of erasing history. So, alrighty. 30 minutes. I'll go for a run, and then I'll come back and I'll try to remember to put in the sustaining vote. But translator is their touchiest subject, and I hit a nerve because I came out and said, hey, Joseph is a translator. I deciphered Paleo-Hebrew. Oh, hey, I deciphered Egyptian petroglyphs. Oh, hey, the Bible comes from the Egyptian petroglyphs that I deciphered, and it has multiple levels of translation for just one petroglyph, such as the Heliopolis creation glyph, that I can give you an obvious example. Genesis chapter 2, verse 4. Alrighty, another day.